the key I shouldn't have returned. I used to think loyalty was a lock you kept polished. If you treated it well, it wouldn't rust, and it would always open the same door. Turns out loyalty is a key you pass between hands when the lights are low, and by morning you're not sure who it belongs to anymore. My name is Julian. I design security systems for luxury properties, silent alarms, cameras you don't see, doors that memorize you. It makes me very good at noticing what other people miss and very bad at ignoring it. I was engaged to a woman named Mara until 3 nights ago, and I suppose that's where this story starts. The moment a lock I built recognized someone I didn't. We were staying at the Lido, a hotel that pretends it's a ship, corridors tight, brass soft as old coins, carpets the blue of well-behaved oceans. My firm was launching a new biometric suite, and Mara, with her perfect posture and camera-ready smile, was the communications director for the event. She wore black that night with a narrow belt and carried herself like a verdict. I watched her work the room, her laugh precise, her hand light on forearms that weren't mine. We had been happy lately, or at least busy in the same direction. I clung to that. I saw him first in reflection. Glass is snitch, metal is gossip. If you work with them long enough, you learn to listen. In the silver of the drinks trolley, a man stepped into Mara's orbit. Crisp white shirt, cuffs undone, the easy arrogance of someone who knows exactly how much space he's allowed to take. His name was Adrian Voss, the venture capitalist whose money had smoothed every rough edge of this launch. He had a watch that looked automatic and hands that looked like they'd never done anything but sign papers and unbutton silk. The way he looked at Mara made me thirsty. I told myself a lot of things in 30 seconds. He's a sponsor. She's doing her job. I'm paranoid because I teach doors how to distrust. But when he leaned in and said something into the curve of her ear and she didn't step away, the rational part of me went quiet. She reached for a keycard on his lanyard, flipped it over, and smiled at him like she'd just solved a crossword. He slid the card into her palm as if he were tipping her for a private performance. I pretended not to see. I got another drink I didn't want and talked to a journalist who kept asking if our new cameras could catch love. They catch movement, I said. Love is just one kind. At 11, Mara told me she had to check on the rooftop installation. You know, the one with the soft blue glow, she said, and kissed the corner of my mouth in a way that felt like a generous alibi. I watched her walk to the elevator, checked my phone, and noticed an alert from the Lido's internal system. Guest 240 authorized rooftop access. Adrian. Our system recognized him. We had burned the guest list into the readers. The elevator doors opened. Mara stepped in. The doors closed around her like a mouth. I went to the stairwell because I hate elevators when I'm trying to think. The stairs smelled like lemon cleaner and secrets. On the roof, the pool steamed like an unkept promise. The city lay glittering beyond the glass, too many stories on at once. Under a string of little bulbs, two figures stood 10 meters from the blue water, their words carrying only as texture. The woman's hair, Mara's, caught light like it knew how to flirt. The man's hand hovered near her waist and then landed. She didn't move it away. They were framed by my company's own hardware, a camera disguised as a light fixture, another in the pool skimmer housing, one in the windbreak beam. No blind spots. We bragged about that. The angles held like quiet witnesses as he tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. It was intimate in the way performance is intimate, too smooth, too choreographed. But the body doesn't study choreography to lie. It studies it to get away with truth. He said something and Mara looked down, and the small, guilty smile that touched her mouth was one I had never been allowed to own. I stood there with my hands in my pockets, counting heartbeats because numbers can't cheat you. When the wind shifted, their voices rode it. 5:08, he said. 10 minutes. She nodded once, small as a sin. Then they separated like dancers ending a duet, and she walked, no, floated back to the elevator, the keycard hot in her hidden hand. 508 had been my room number last month in Berlin. My stomach did a cheap little trick. When they were both gone, I crossed the roof and put my fingers on the camera housing. Warm. Recording. Our demo was live to the ballroom downstairs on a 20-second loop. Anyone could be watching the empty roof and the memory that clung to it. I went down to the 5th floor not to catch them but to prove to myself I wouldn't. The hallway smelled like bergamot and money. Our locks on the guest room doors glowed politely, green for welcome, red for not now. 508 was dark, settled. I could have pinged the reader, could have ghosted the audit trail with the back-end tools I keep in my head, but what would be the point? I leaned my forehead against the wall and thought about how people always say, "It just happened," as if chaos is a reliable delivery service. "Are you lost?" The voice came from behind me, low, amused. I turned. The woman in front of me wore a suit so black it swallowed light and a red lipstick that made promises without speaking English. She had one of those faces you remember even when you try not to. I had seen her at registration, always just beyond the center of whatever was happening, watching. She held a small folio in one hand and the kind of smile that made you suspect she had a talent for other people's mistakes. "Just thinking," I said. "Dangerous habit," she said. She looked at the door, then at me. "You're the security artist, Julian." It wasn't a question. I didn't realize the hotel was offering psychic services now. "We offer discretion," she said. "It pays better." She offered her hand. "I'm Sira." "What job is that?" "The one where I don't have a name on the program." She nodded toward the elevator. "Come on. You look like a man who could use oxygen." We stepped into the lift, mirrored to a fault. In 4 reflections, I looked like 4 different mistakes. Sira glanced at the ceiling corner and tapped it. "Your camera is half a degree off. Someone installed it like they were in a hurry." "I wasn't the one with the drill," I said, unable to help the pride that slid into my voice. She caught it and set it down gently between us. Downstairs, the ballroom had thinned. Rich men in excellent shoes were discovering they were drunk. The demo screens glowed with our logo and a loop of tasteful corridors. I poured coffee I didn't need and wondered if caffeine could write me a better future. Sira stood at my shoulder like we were an old argument. "You saw something," she said. "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." She watched the screen. The roof, the pool, empty. "Sometimes it's safer to say it to a stranger, less cleanup." "I love Mara," I said, surprising myself by choosing the present tense. "It looks good on you," Sira said softly. "Be careful what you dress it with." "I don't suppose you believe in coincidence," I said. "I believe in choreography," she said, "and in bad timing." We stood there long enough to make time behave. 10 minutes passed. People laughed where I couldn't see them. Somewhere a cork surrendered with that little gasp. My phone buzzed. A system ping. Reader 508 authorized, mobile key accepted. The guilt was as physical as heat. I felt it touch me under my sternum and settle there. Sira's eyes flicked to my screen. "You still have back-end access on during the party," she said lightly. "I'm the one who turns out the lights," I said. She tilted her head. "For who?" "For everyone," I lied. She studied my face like it was the last page of a book. "What's the plan? Kick in a door you designed to resist you, make a scene you can't reverse, or go home and learn how to sleep alone?" "I haven't built those choices yet," I said. She touched my elbow just once. "Try a different door," she said. "Come with me." We didn't go up. We went down to a floor the Lido called the library, but I called the spine. A spine of locked rooms where the servers hummed and our system kept its quiet cathedral. Sierra had a key card with no number. She walked like the building had been whispering directions in her ear. I work for the owner, she said. Sometimes that means making sure the rich don't eat the rich, at least not where anyone can Instagram it. Which one is Adrian? I asked. The guest who makes a mess and tips well, she said. He bought the penthouse for the month to feel like the poor man's god. And Mara is smarter than him, she said, and warmer than you. I deserved that. In the main server room, light fell like devotion across the racks. Sierra swiped into the console. You know your way around here, I said. I know my way around people, she said. Machines are easier. They only betray you when you tell them to. She pulled up the guest access map. Each room a dot, each dot a color. 508 glowed, an unsent confession. Sierra's hand hovered over the controls. I can pull the loop from the demo screens and replace it with the view from 508 in real time, she said. Teach him what advertisements are for. Her voice was all velvet, but the meaning was steel. No, I said too quickly, don't. Her eyebrow rose. You're sure? No one gets to watch but me, I said, hating how that sounded and loving the truth in it. And I'm not watching. I slid my hands into my pockets so they wouldn't betray me. They wanted buttons to press, things to fix. Sierra shut the console, unreadable as a locked safe. Then what? I want the audit trail, I said. And I want the copy of whatever head of communications just put on a private channel. She's sending nothing explicit, Sierra said. She's too careful, but the suggestion will be expensive. Men like Adrian pay for the suggestion as much as the sin. She gave him my key, I said. The sentence was raw wood. He gave it to her first, Sierra said. You saw that part, don't forget it. Sierra handed me a small drive. Everything that leaves the Lido passes through here, she said. Like blood through a heart, this is yours, and you didn't get it from me. What do I do with it? Choose, she said. It's amazing how many grown men forget that part. On my way back up, I thought of all the doors I had opened in my life for other people. When I reached 5, I didn't stop. I kept going to 7. The hallway there had a window that framed the river like a long apology. I stood and watched the black water undo the lights and tried to breathe like a person. She found me 10 minutes later. Mara, hair slightly bruised by hands that weren't mine, lipstick softened into a confession. She walked right into my space and took my face in both hands like she was checking for damage. I was waiting for you to come, she said, and I loved and hated that equally. To 508, my voice was even. To the place you'd go to not go there, she said. You always like to stand near an exit. I designed them, I said, and that almost made her smile. How much do you know? She asked. How much are you willing to say? I asked. She exhaled. Enough to hurt us, not enough to save us. Try. He thinks he's buying access to our tech, she said. But what he wants most is a billboard for his appetite. He came to me 2 months ago, Julian. He said, make me look like having you is inevitable. It was a content strategy. We built moments, nearness, the promise of a kiss, the shadow of a door. He wanted the suggestion, not the act, because the suggestion can be replayed in boardrooms without HR fainting. He wanted a narrative of proof, that he could have anything, even the woman engaged to the man who locked the building for him. And you said yes. I said yes to the job, she said, and now the anger started to show through her polish. I said yes to doing my work better than anyone else. I told myself the kiss would never land, And then he pressed, and the hotel made it easy, and you, she bit the word. You looked at me like a guard, not a man. I was guarding what I thought we had, I said. Maybe you were guarding being right, she said, and it was so precise I wanted to flinch. Did you? I couldn't finish the verb. We both knew which one. No, she said. I let him put his hand on my waist. I let him whisper my name like a password. I didn't open the door I didn't want. I wanted you to come and stop me. I wanted you to want to. That's not fair, I said. Neither is love, she said. It's just accurate. We stood there with the river behaving like nothing was happening. I felt older than the carpet. I took the drive Sierra had given me and held it between us like a jewel and like a weapon. This is the audit trail, I said. It's also leverage. I can burn him with it. I can burn you. I can burn us. Which one feels warmest? She asked quietly. You always did PR like a surgeon, I said. She didn't deny it. What do you want me to do? She asked. Return the key, I said. She reached into her clutch and put the thin card in my palm. It was warm. I imagined his heat on it and wanted to wash my hands forever. I slid it into my jacket and felt the weight of stupid rectangles. We could still marry, she said then, and it was both wild and sane. We could, and we could learn how to be ugly and honest and stop building rooms for other people's fantasies inside our house. You kissed him, I said. I almost did, she said. Is that better or worse? I don't know, I said. It depends on what story we sell ourselves. The elevator chimed. Sierra stepped out like punctuation. She looked at Mara the way a woman looks at another woman when she knows exactly how much of the truth is left. He's leaving, Sierra said. Adrian, he thinks he won. Men like that always think of leaving as evidence. Evidence of what? Mara asked. That will follow, Sierra said. Will you? No, Mara said, looking at me, not Sierra. Sierra nodded like a nurse checking vitals. Then go upstairs, she said. Together, lock the door with a code only the two of you know. And if you don't have one anymore, don't pretend. We went. In our room, the air still held our shapes, yesterday's shirts, the ghost of a flower arrangement trying to be heroic. Mara kicked off her shoes like she was finally letting the day off her feet. I stood by the window and set the keycard on the sill. The city leaned in to listen. Take off your tie, she said. That a press request, I said, and hated myself for how defensive it sounded. It's a request, she said, from a woman who knows how close she came to forgetting your mouth. I took off the tie. We moved toward each other slowly, not because we were cautious, but because the truth makes graceless people of us all. When she touched me, it wasn't apology, it was inventory. She kissed me like she was making a new password from an old word. I let my hand find the zipper of her dress and stopped halfway, both of us laughing because the habit of restraint is a kink all by itself. Say you want me, she whispered. I want us, I said, and it was the most erotic thing I had said in weeks. We made love like people choosing a smaller, harder miracle over the flashy one. There was heat and teeth and the soft thud of the bed against the wall, and there was also a kind of conversation I could never have coded into any system I'd built. When it was done, we didn't move for a while. The city kept on being fabulous and false around us. Mara rested her chin on my chest and looked up at me as if she were memorizing a complicated sentence. What about him? She asked finally. I'll make sure his key stops working everywhere, I said. Not just here. Sierra gave me the copy. We can end his little narrative. It'll cost him more than his watch. And me, she asked. You'll draft a statement you never send, I said. You'll keep it on your desktop like a souvenir. You'll read it when you're tempted to mistake performance for desire. And you, she asked, what will you keep? This, I said, and pressed her palm to my throat, where the pulse argues, where the body doesn't know how to lie, and the memory of not watching the footage. She closed her eyes. Thank you, she whispered, for choosing me, not because I deserve it, but because I don't. In the morning, we returned the key together. Adrian was in the lobby, performing nonchalance in sunglasses. He looked at me like a man measuring a purchase and at Mara like a man unwrapping one. I put the card on the counter and looked past him. You dropped this, I said to the air. Sierra appeared, took it, and smiled a professional smile that had ended wars. Mr. Voss, your car is ready, she said. He left with enough arrogance to fracture glass. Mara and I walked to the street. The day smelled like bread and wet asphalt. We didn't hold hands. We walked close. At the corner, she stopped. If I stumble again. We tell each other before the fall, I said. If you lock me out. I give you the code, I said. And if neither of us can find the door, she asked. Then we build a new one, I said. Smaller, harder to sell, impossible to share. That night I changed the Lido's camera by half a degree for no reason but correctness. In our apartment, I put my tools away and sat with Mara on the kitchen floor because our chairs were too official. We ate noodles from cartons and let our knees touch. I didn't check the server. She didn't check her reflection. We went to bed early and slept late. I woke to her hair on my shoulder and a city that had lost interest in us, and for once, it felt like mercy. Loyalty isn't a lock. It's a key you keep deciding to carry, even when it's heavy, even when it doesn't fit the glamorous doors. You return it when you must. You refuse it when it was never yours to begin with. And sometimes, on a good morning, you hand it to someone who knows how not to drop it.